Okay, last class we gone through isometric. The next topic, shall I go through the development of surfaces or AutoCAD? Any of you having specific doubts in any other topic? Some of you are asking doubts in AutoCAD. Shall I go through AutoCAD or any other topic? Just unmute your audio and respond. Only one student is responding. Vamsi. What about the others? Okay, no response from other students. And as you're asking the doubts on AutoCAD, I am once again briefly discussing the basic commands in AutoCAD. In previous classes, so let me start the presentation. I'm starting the presentation. Can you see my screen? Okay, AutoCAD, this is a 2020 version, and in the textbook, the window represented or the commands. Commands, there is no variation, much variation, but in the window, what the textbook is represented is the older edition. That is like almost 2010 AutoCAD version. So, but don't bother, only a slight changes are there in between 2002 and 20. 2020 is an advanced version. And AutoCAD, basic tools for drawing. AutoCAD is a basic tool for drafting. So what is the advantage compared to the regular draft drawing on sheet? One thing is we can draw them easily and preserve them. Is it? And one more, if there is any modification, so if we do it on sheet, the entire sheet will be spoiled, or you have to again redraw from the starting. So, but in AutoCAD, simply if there is any modification, simply can delete and modify those particular dimensions. And coming to basic structure, this is called as the toolbar ribbon, and in this we can see different tabs, and mostly we're going to use first 4 tabs. The first one is having the basic drawing tools. Second one is modifying tools. Third one is dimensioning tools and annotations. This is called a simple annotation toolbar. And the fourth one is layers. And along with these four, we're going to use one more set of tools. These are called as switches, toggle switches, which are present at the bottom corner, bottom corner. And suppose see here, the first switch is grid display. So if you observe here on the screen, can you see the graph sheet like structure? Horizontal and vertical lines, some grid is showing. And if I make it off, you can't see this background graph sheet structure. So all these tools, all these are called as the switches. All these switches are helpful in easing the process. Means we can draw more easily without going to the keyboard. So with the minimum usage of keyboard, only by the usage of mouse, if you want to perform, we can use these switches. We can use these switches. In that, first one is grid display. And if you go on this small arrow bar, if you click on this, it will show the snap. So this is called as the snap, grid and snap settings. So we can change the appearance or settings, how. And previously, see here, the spacing, X spacing and Y spacing. So these are the snap and grid. Suppose if you want to display the grid on, either you can go for F7 or simply clicking in this button or here. You can make it display. And display, we can also adjust its size. See the X spacing and Y spacing. Default is 10 mm and 10 mm and major line at every 5 means a thick line at every 50 mm and X spacing at every 10 mm, Y spacing at every 10 mm. Similarly, if you also switch on this F9, if you also switch on this F9 or snap on, see this, these two are turned into blue color. Now, if you want to draw any line, observe the cursor points 2310 1280. Suppose let us go from the origin 0 comma 0. I want the first line from 0 comma 0 to 100 comma line 0 comma 0 to 100 comma 100. This is origin point. This is the line I have drawn. If you observe this, the thick lines is at every 50 mm as we adjusted earlier. And internal at each and every 10 mm there is a line. Suppose if this is in off, the snap is in off position, I want to start a line from any point. See the cursor points. It is showing from 29.0055, comma y coordinate 16.9011 means up to 4 decimal points. It is choosing. And suppose if you want a point 50 comma 50 or some 20 comma 20 immediately, by moving this cursor to 20.20 is very difficult, is it? Moving this cursor to the point 20 comma 20 is very difficult. So if you make this snap mode on, if you move the cursor, observe the cursor location. It is moving in terms of 10. See here, it is no decimals and the cursor is moving in steps of 10 mm. See this point 20 comma 30, 20 comma 20. So directly we can choose the point instead of entering the value in the keyboard. If you want to minimize the usage of keyboard and use the mouse, you can use this grid and snap commands. So if you switch off this, you don't see any grid. If you switch off the snap command, the cursor moves smoothly with the accuracy of 3 to 4 decimal points. 4 decimal points here. And so first let me complete this toggle switches advantage and then move on to the original drawing. And the next one is ortho mode. If I pick the ortho mode on and I want to start a line starting from this point, starting from this point, from this point, if you want to draw a line, see this, the cursor, even though I'm moving the cursor, it is only showing either horizontal line or vertical line. We can't able to draw any inclined lines by using the cursor. Means the cursor can only move in X or Y direction. See the line. So this is called as ortho mode. And the shortcut for ortho is F8. And next one is polar mode. In previous classes, while I'm explaining through the AutoCAD doubt clarification section, you might identify it. For explain, suppose if you want to draw an isometric view, we require the line in 30 degrees inclination to left side or 30 degrees inclination to the right hand side. So this is called as the polar tracking. So, and in this there are various options. Means in terms of 90s, 45 degrees, 30 degrees, and 23, 45, 68, 19, 18, 36, 74, 15. So depending on our requirement, we can opt this. And mostly for our isometric views, we'll have maximum lines in 30 degrees inclination. Is it? So we'll prefer this one. Now, if I want to, I'm switching off this and switching on the polar snap. See the first point I've chosen this. Second one. See it is showing the see the green line. So when I kept it 0 degrees, it is showing the cursor is moving in horizontal direction 0 degrees. And again you can see get this green line at 30 degrees inclination. Say at 30 degrees. I can move this cursor freely at 30 degrees. And next one 60 degrees. I can see this inclination. Similarly, multiples of 30, 90 degrees, 120 degrees, 150 degrees. So I'll get the green line. So means the cursor will so that you can draw 30 degrees inclination lines more easily without going for the line length and like specifying the line inclination or entering the coordinates of the line. We can simply draw the lines at the required inclination if you switch on this polar tracking. This is ortho. Simply the right angle. See the symbol? It is simply showing the right angles, only horizontal and vertical. And in polar tracking, we can specify the required inclination. And coming to object snap. Coming to the object snap. This is the object snap. And this is the snapping option. We'll refer to it later. We'll not this use much once. Maximum going to use the object snap. Suppose object snap has all these symbols. Endpoint is always shown in terms of two squares, midpoint with a triangle, center, geometric center, node, quadrant, intersection, extension, intersection, perpendicular, tangent, nearest, apparent intersection, parallel. What are these means? So default is endpoint, midpoint, and intersection, and also require center. Suppose I want a line from the center of this circle to the endpoint of this line. In the regular process, what we usually do, identify those coordinates or calculate those coordinates and enter it in the command bar. Or if you make this object snap on means it shows in the blue color. See here, if I move on to the circle, it is showing the center. If you observe now, a green color circle. So this plus mark. Previously, there is no. So when you are in the draw mode, means when you click any one of the draw tool commands, then only the snap bar will be activated or snap. So see here, without entering into a command, Now I have not entered any command, line command or polygon or circle command. Even though I am on the circle, it is not showing any or highlighting anything. But once I click on the line command and move to the circle, see here it is showing the center of the circle. So I want a line from center of the circle to end point. See the end point, it is showing in the square. Directly, I can draw the line. Similarly, if I want from the center of the circle to midpoint of the line, see here, when I reach it to the midpoint of the line, it is showing with a green color. Even though I click at this point, the line is generated only up to the midpoint. So these are the advantages of OSnap. So maximum we're going to use snap, polar tracking, and OSnap, object snap. And for object snap, the shortcut is F3 on your keyboard. So all these are the toggle switches which helps us in making the drawing procedure easily. So better with much more easier and the options we can draw the drawing. Now let us explain one by one a line command, and in AutoCAD we can deleting all this. Erasing means simply picking the required object, whether it may be line, circle, whatever it may be, and pressing the delete option. You can directly delete those entity. Now, in AutoCAD, we can draw any line or circle, anything in two ways. One thing is you can type the command in the command bar. This is called as the command bar. Simply you can type the line and enter. It will ask. So even if you forgot what to do, if you look on to the command bar, we can identify what is the next step we have to follow. What is asking? Specify the first point. Suppose I found the first point from 0, 0. Enter. It is asking to specify the next point. Next point, suppose I want a 100 long line. Two ways you can specify. One way is up to a point 10 comma 10. Here, simply I draw a line from 0 comma 0 to 10 comma 10. But drawing like this is very difficult in general process. Why? Because if you want to draw like this means we should know each and every coordinate, every point's coordinate, is it? But drawing like this is very difficult. So next option is, in major cases we know the length of the line and its inclination, is it? In maximum situations in any drawing, we know the length of the line and its orientation, means its angle. Suppose I want a line of 20 line length at 0 degrees inclination, means a horizontal line at 20 line. Simply I can enter length of the line 20 see here, type here 20 line, take the cursor here 20 see this typing in the bar. And next, angle. For getting the angle, press the symbol less than symbol on your keyboard. Less than symbol on your keyboard. It shows the angle. So I'm pressed it on the keyboard. And what is the angle I required? 0 degrees. Enter. Anyway, I want a specify. Next point, I want 10 line length at an angle 25 degrees, or 25 line length at an angle. See here the cursor, the less than symbol. Less than symbol, if you press, it automatically converts into this. 25 line length. What is the angle? Suppose if you want horizontally, type 0 degrees. 25 mm line length, 0 degrees. Next, 50 mm line length, less than symbol. If you press the less than symbol, it moves there. 90 degrees. Even though it is in this position. 50, 90 degrees. 50 mm line length in vertical direction. Or one more way is simply clicking on the line. I want a line from this end point horizontally in this direction. Horizontally means when this polar snap is on, here at 90 degrees, exactly horizontal position. Suppose if you wanted 150 degrees inclination. So this 150 degrees inclination, I want a line up to a line length of some 50 mm. Simply enter the 50, type 50 and then press enter. Got the required line. So in this way, either you can type it in the command bar or by choosing directly the endpoint. Suppose I want a line from this endpoint to here. Intersection. See the X mark shows the intersection. Click it. And similarly to the midpoint of this line, click here. Simply by clicking the mouse to these midpoints, I can generate lines. So two ways, either entering on the command bar or directly by clicking. And now polyline. So polyline and line is almost the same. And see, let us draw it in the polyline. In polyline also, I can draw number of lines. Simply, I'm not following any dimension, line drawing. But what is the difference between these two? Lines drawn by using line command, lines drawn by using a polyline command. So by using line command, I've drawn all these lines. Suppose I want to pick this line. This is a single entity. Is it? This is one more line, third line, fourth line, fifth line. So means all these are independent lines, independent entities. And this is the line I drawn by using polyline. If I pick this, if I click on here, it selects the entire all the lines. Means the line drawing through polyline, it takes all the lines as a single entity. What is the use? And for this stage, we don't have observe very much difference other than these two. But when you're going for a drawing a three-dimensional objects, not the isometric, when you're developing a three-dimensional objects directly, means there you have to add on the material. Then the closed figure must consist of, it must be of single entity. Then there you'll get the use of this polyline. I'm deleting that one. And next one is circle. And circle can be drawn in many ways. If you click on this button. So if there are any multiple commands for any, multiple options for any command, there exists a small triangle arrow. See here? This indicates if you click on this, it shows the multiple options for drawing the command. So for circle, we can draw circle by simply drawing, entering its center and radius. Suppose I wanted this circle, this as the center, and by moving, we can choose the next point. Simply this will take these two as the radius. Or if you want some other than this, simply keep it in some other position. I want a radius of 15 mm. Type it 15 and press enter. Circle is drawn with radius equal to 15 mm. Similarly, center and diameter. Center, and if you move on, it asks for the diameter value. It asks for the diameter value. Suppose I want a circle with diameter 20 mm. Type 20. So given the two values, center and diameter. First one, center and radius. Third one, 2 point. Means if you want a circle passing through these two endpoints, the first point and second point. It generates a circle passing through those 2 points. Similarly, 3 point. Suppose we want a circle passing through 3 points. Let it be point 1, point 2, and this point 3. See this? Point 1, point 2, and point 3. This circle. It is drawn passing through the 3 points which we have chosen. Point 1, 2, and 3. Similarly, tan radius. Tan radius. So for this one, I'm drawing 2 lines. Means I want a circle passing tangentially to these 2 lines with the specific radius. So tan radius. See here, if you have any doubt, it will ask specify a point or the object for the first tangent. So I want this one. Enter. And this is the second one. And asking the radius. So default means why? Because it is showing 25 means previous command we have given the radius as 25. It is taking that previous value as the default. If you want to change it, so here observe it, the previous value entered. Always the default values shows it in 2 angular brackets. If you want other than 25, type it here. If you press again enter, it draws a circle tangent to these 2 lines with radius 25. No, I don't want with 25. I want with 35 mm radius. This is the circle which is passing tangentially to these 2 lines with the radius 35 mm. The center it choose automatically depending on the position or inclination of the 2 lines. Similarly, tan radius means if you want tan, if you want a circle passing tangentially to 3 lines, passing tangentially to 3 lines. So let us do this. First line, I'm drawing any 3 lines randomly. I want a circle which is passing tangentially to these 3 lines. Tan. Pick the first line, second line, tan. First line, second line, third line. It is drawing a circle tangent to the 3 lines. Similarly, arc option. Similarly, the arc options. In this, the first one is default is the 3 point. Similarly, for the circle, the default is set always the first option will be the default one. So here the default is 3 point means suppose I want an arc passing through these 3 points, point 1, 2, and 3. Simply, if we choose the 3 points, it draws a circular arc passing through those 3 points. Next, if we want to repeat the same command, we can move here or simply pressing enter. It takes the command. Suppose I want a arc passing through these 3 points, point 1, point 2, point 3. Check it. 1, 2, and 3. It simply draws an arc passing through the specified 3 points. And here the radius is arbitrary. We will not enter the radius because radius will choose depending on the position of those 3 points. Next one. Start, center, and end. Start, center, and end. Suppose for any arc. We know the start point, center point, and end point. Suppose this is the starting point of the arc and center. Let it be anything. I want to choose this as the center. Center point of the arc and end point. So here the end point must be the valid. Why? Because it must be on this circumference, any point. We can choose depending on the angle also. Simply it has drawn this arc, the start point, center, and end. And here you should remember one condition is always it draws the arc in anti-clockwise direction. It always draws the arc in anti-clockwise direction. Means here, given these are the start point, center point, and end point. See the arc direction. We can't draw this here arc, this part. So it only draws even if you pick this point, it completes. Even though you want an arc for this point, it draws only the in anti-clockwise direction. Suppose if you want an arc here, then you choose points like this. Start point, center, and end. And similarly, try all these options. There are a number of options. By choosing start, center, and angle for drawing semicircle. If you know the starting point, center point, and angle, you draw. And one more thing is, if you have any doubt on any command, if you keep the cursor without moving on that particular command, it gives the clear description of that particular command. For the first 2 seconds, it shows the short description. And if you keep the arc without moving the cursor, it gives the entire description of that particular command. If you have installed the AutoCAD, you can go through these commands. And similarly, polygon. For drawing a polygon or rectangle, there are many other options. So this is the option for rectangle. So rectangle mostly asks for the two endpoints. Start point, endpoint means the diagonal endpoints. It has the diagonal endpoints, nothing but x1, y1, x2, y2. If you know x1, y1 and x2, y2, by picking these two, we can draw a rectangle. And polygon. So the default, observe here, within the angular brackets, it shows the default value. The default is 4. Suppose if I want heptagon, number of sides, 7. Enter 7 in keyboard and press enter. Next, it asks for the space center of polygon. And for polygons other than rectangle, it asks to either inscribe in a circle or circumscribe about a circle. Suppose I want this as the center, and it asking for the two options: inscribe in a circle or circumscribe. Default is inscribe. You can choose by moving the cursor. Suppose I want circumscribed about a circle and asking to specify the radius. So by moving the cursor, we can pick the specific point, or by entering the value. Suppose I want at 100 mm radius. Draws the heptagon. The default is the first side horizontal. So with that, you can draw any number of sided polygon. The two options, either inscribed or subscribed. The 1 and 2 indicates the first point we have to give, and the second point, the data we have to give for completing the command. 1 and 2 shows the data which we need to enter. Similarly, the ellipse with directly center major axis and minor axis. So here this I've chosen the major axis and minor axis. It draws the complete ellipse. And similarly, ellipse can be drawn by choosing axis and endpoints. Means suppose I want this to be the axis and the endpoint. Means major axis endpoints, and from here one more axis endpoint like this. I can draw the ellipse. I can draw the ellipse. And third option, elliptical arc. Similarly, by specifying the center point, start point, and end point, we can draw the elliptical arc. Next one is hatching. Directly, we can use the hatch command. Simply by picking the hatch, and it asks for the area. And it asks for the area. See here, this is the area. And once you are in the hatch command, it shows the options for the hatching. Do you want a solid hatch? This type of hatch. So ANSI 131 is the code, or ANSI 132. So there are the various ANSI codes as per the standards we can follow. So this is the hatching. So what are all these codes is depending on the what is the hatching purpose? Hatching purpose, what is the hatching purpose? For representing a sectioned surface, is it? When the object is cut by using a section plane and representing the cut portion, we're going to use this hatching lines. And what are these ANSI codes is, depending on the material, there are various sectioning lines for metals, for wood surface, glass surface, like this. So directly we can indicate the surface by representing the variation in the hatching lines. But no need, remember, but general way is at 45 degrees inclination, equally spaced lines, or general one. So this is hatching option. So gradient means, so fill this with a color. We can change these colors also. So all these are useful in going in the advanced solids or advanced modeling options. And at our stage, we don't require this grading option. Next, after completing these draw tools, and other than this, maximum we require these commands. Is it line, polyline, circle, arc, polygon? We can complete the maximum drawings in our regular engineering practice. Other than these, there are more commands. Smooth polyline or spline fit, spline CV, construction lines. Suppose if you want to draw a construction line directly, so instead of drawing a line and converting it into construction line, what I did in previous explanations while drawing the isometric views, what I did was drawing construction lines. I drawn a line and converted it into a other line type or changed it colors. Suppose if you want to directly draw the construction line, simply we can choose this command. And a ray. What is the difference between ray? See this. Even though I've chosen these 2 points, it draws an endless line. Ray is one directional endless line. And this one is even the specified 2 lines. See here, it draws an endless line. So what is this purpose? What is the purpose of this? Anyone unmute your audio, and can anyone explain the purpose of this? It is for drawing XY line. Why? Because XY line is endless line. It is the intersection of horizontal plane and vertical plane. The endpoint is not there. Why? So that's why we are showing it with an arrow mark, so the two ends XY. So the general is the construction lines. Similarly, the other lines. We can draw the ellipse, donut means directly shaded area like this. And 3D polyline. So three-dimensional. Suppose if we want to draw a line from here, even though the line looks like this, you can draw a line in three-dimensionally also. Means not only on a single plane, you can draw a line in three-dimensionally. See here, the default option, if you observe this, the default option, it shows the top view. Suppose if you want to draw a front view, so all these are helpful when you're drawing it in the three-dimensional. Means horizontal plane, vertical plane, when you want to draw lines or when you want to draw a three-dimensional object, all these are helpful. See this? When you're drawing on the plane, XY plane, so this is XY plane. This is YZ plane is showing perpendicularly, and XY plane simply it is all the lines are shown as simple lines. Back side view, left side view, front view, top view. By picking on these four triangles or four corners, we can move to the different views in a three-dimensional view. And after completing these regular options, the drawing commands, which were maximum helpful for completing our major isometric views or any drawing at this stage. Line, polyline, circle, and arc, polygon, ellipse, hatching. These are sufficient. Next, these are the modify commands. These are the modify. So once the drawing is completed, and if you want to modify any already drawn line, all these are useful. So moving command. Suppose if I want to move the circle from here to some other position, simply pick the circle. So it asks to select the object. We can select the multiple objects also. I want to select two objects. Suppose I want to select these two, a circle and this arc. I want to move these two. After completion of selecting multiple, if you want to choose any number of lines. So after selecting all the required number of objects, press enter. And then it asks for the reference point. Suppose I want this to be the reference point. Means, observe here, if I pick this, now this entire, these two are objects with this as the reference point. I want to be moved here. So by this is the reference point. So I'm repeating this thing. Move these two lines. Now if I want the circle center as the reference. Now see the cursor point. It is at the circle center. I want to place these two objects here. So move option. And next one is copy option. So what is the difference between move and a copy? The simple in MS Office or any files in computer, you can move the file or you can copy the file. Is it? Moving a file means it moves from one folder to other folder and replace and erases the original one. Is it? Suppose if we want to move a file from folder A to folder B, if I use a move command, Control X and V, what happens? From folder A, the object is being erased and it is placed in the new position. Similarly, what we did here, the original object is being erased and it is moved to the new position. Compare to copy. Suppose I want to copy this circle. Enter with the base, the center of the circle as a base. I can copy this circle. Here I can place it to any number of copies. I can have this any number of copies. The original is still existing as it is, And similarly, number of copies can be placed depending on our requirement. So once a completed copy, just pressing escape or enter button, it comes out of the command. It comes out of the command. Next one is stretch option. I want to stretch this line. Enter with this as the base point. Actually, it doesn't show much variation in a single lines. So better go for a polygon. Stretch. I want to stretch this polygon. Which one? Let us choose this base point. I can move this. Or simply, it is also one more like a move command. Next one is rotate mirror scale. Rotating. Suppose if I want this line to be vertical, if I want this one of the side of the polygon to be vertical, simply rotate the polygon with respect to, it is asking always it will ask the base point. Why? Because the reference point to be selected. And let us choose this reference point being geometric center. This is the geometric center. So the diagonal intersection point directly we can get it. So this is the geometric center of this object. So with this. So what is the rotation angle? I want the rotation angle to be 90. It is, it has rotated. So always rotation or drawing AutoCAD, the default is anti-clockwise direction, counterclockwise direction. So this line, it has moved to this here. It rotated the complete object to 90 degrees. And coming to mirror object. Mirror also one more like a copy. Suppose I want a mirror image of this object. Take this component and it asks for the mirror. So with respect to which object I want to mirror. So we should specify the mirror. What is the mirror? So here I want to specify this as the mirror line. Mirror line. Go for the mirror. First select this object. Enter. Specify the first point and the mirror line. So first point and second point of the mirror line. Means taking this as the mirror, it creates. So exactly at the same distance from this line. Suppose if this distance is 10 mm, maintaining the 10 mm from the other direction, it creates a mirror image. And actually you are not getting much difference. Let us do with the another line. Polyline. Suppose I want to mirror this object. Mirror, pick the object. So this is the advantage of drawing with polyline. If you want to mirror all these lines, simply selecting once, I can directly do the mirror. Otherwise, if I draw this object by using a line command, I have to individually pick each and every line. Now, I selected the object and I'm specifying this as the mirror line. It is copying the object, but the image, the other object is exactly the mirror image. Means left to and right are interchange. The exactly it will create a mirror object. Next, coming to scale. Already we use the scale command while drawing. Scaling means enlarging or reducing the dimensions. Simply, if I want to enlarge this object, specify the base point. So about the center of the polygon only. See this, I can enlarge or reduce its size. I can enlarge or reduce its size. Or if I want to scale factor as 2, means it increases the size of the component twice. So you can specify the scale value. And this is the fillet. So especially for the mechanical students, filleting is in any component. Suppose if you want to reduce the sharp corners for safety purpose, maximum situations for any of component, there is a sharp edges like this. Always sharp edges are not preferable. Why? Because it is not safe. And even stress calculations or other calculations will try to eliminate these sharp corners. Suppose if we want to eliminate this sharp corner, the step is we have to draw a small arc with 3 to 5 mm radius. This is called as filleting. It is asked to select the object. First object, or and asks for the second object. First object, second object. Actually, that's for the dimensions. There's very small dimensions are there. Let us change the fillet radius. Or let us check the radius, what it is. I want to change the fillet radius to, that's why it is not showing. Why? Because the default fillet radius it is given as 0. That's why it has not drawn anything. Suppose I want a fillet radius 5 mm. Enter. Now, first line, second line. See here, I'm zooming this. First line, select line. By choosing directly the second line, it draws a quarter circle joining these two lines. So simply we can draw the line. So by changing the radius value, we can draw a fillet at any radius. Similarly, chamfer. Chamfer means joining the two sharp edges, eliminating with again a small flat surface. Let us check the distance, what it is. Initially the distance is 0. Here I want to give it as 5. Now see here, selecting the first object, chamfer, first object, second object. So it eliminated the sharp edges and just a flat surface. So this is called as chamfer and fillet. And regular array, path array, polar array means I've drawn this circle. I want a multiple copies. I want a 6 circles. Directly you can use the copy or you can use the array command. Rectangular array. I want a rectangular array of this circle. Enter. See here, the default is in X direction 4 copies, Y direction 3 copies. So you can change this number of columns or number of rows. Suppose if you want to change the number of columns by specifying COL, the blue color letters, COL, enter. The default is 4. If I want to give 10, enter. And is asking to distance, point to point distance. That also you can change. So by array means creating multiple number of object like an array. Simply remember the mathematics array problems, matrix problems. So in form of a matrix. Now, all these are the single entity. You can simply delete. Or you can also give the options directly here. Number of rows. Then number of columns. I want some 5. And also it asks for the distance between each row and distance between each column and each row. So by using this, we can generate multiple number of copies. Similarly, if you want a circle in polar array, with generating in a circular shape. Here it is specifying in terms of like a matrix form, and polar array means in the same way it generates and specify the center. This has the center. See here, it has created multiple objects, or better choose a single circle without confusion. Polar array. I want a circle. This as the center. Similarly, in polar array, you can choose the number of items, angle between each item. Suppose if I say number of items 10, it generates 10 circles in a circular mode. So all these are the about modifying, and even much other options are not also there, but we don't require at this stage. We can practice. And in your second year, first semester, you're having AutoCAD lab. There you're going to practice all these. And next to this, the next step is annotation for the dimension. So simply by picking the dimension, I want to specify the radius or diameter. Say by moving the cursor, I can paste this. Here it is showing the dimension. 5 indicates the diameter. And even you can change the type of dimensions also. Suppose I want a linear dimension like this. I want a distance between these 2 points. Linear dimension means distance between any 2 points. Distance between the 2 endpoints. It is showing the distance. As the value is very large, all these dimensions we are drawing by not by using the dimensions, so it is showing the random values. Similarly, annotations. So annotation means, suppose I want to specify this dimension like this. I want to specify some detail here. I can write here something. There is a circle. And generally, these annotations are used for specifying the radius, dimensions, or dimensions for very small values, or specifying some differences like its surface finish or any other surface options. We'll use this annotation. So default is here, it is showing a circle. It is showing the circle. So if you want to specify some highlight or some components, you're going to use these annotations. So the and text, we can type any text also by choosing the first point and second point. It gives the text box and you can type anything. You see, you can type. So these are helpful for representing the endpoints A, B, C, D, E, and representing the points or specific other representation. So try to follow this. Draw toolbar commands, modify toolbar commands, and annotation toolbar commands, and also these toggle switches. And in these toggle switches, especially snap option and polar tracking, ortho tracking, object snap options. These two. And in examination point of view, we'll be having a question like this. They'll give a specific component or a drawing and ask to list out the commands useful for drawing the component. So maximum useful commands are line, circle, polygon, polyline, and move, copy, rotate like this. Move, copy, rotate like this. And also, you may get a question like, list out the various draw tool commands and its description. So means you have to list out all the draw tool commands and write out its description. Or list out the various modify toolbar commands. You have to list out the modify toolbar commands and write their description. So for this, refer to the textbook for having description of each and every command in detail. Each and every command in detail. So for this, refer to the textbook. So with this, I'm concluding the session. Till any of you are having doubts, unmute your audio, and clarify your doubts. If any of you are having doubts, unmute your audio and clarify doubts. And one more thing I'm observing is only 18 members present in today's class. See here, only 18 members are present. What about the others? In your class, almost 27 to 30 members opted for the command. And even these are the persons. I will get the attendance directly. No need of noting anything. These are the attendance for today's class. What about the others? Why they are not attending? You don't have any doubts? Shall I conclude the doubt session here? Respond. 351. You have not submitted a single sheet. 351. Unmute your audio and respond.
Sir, I submitted.
Submitted in Google Classroom? Did you submit it in Google
Yes,
Classroom?
sir. 2 times
Just
I
wait for a
submitted,
while.
sir.
Just wait for a while. I'm checking it. You have not submitted a single sheet. 351. All the sheets are pending. You said you have submitted. All
Sir,
your
3 days
sheets.
back only I submitted, sir.
No, I don't know where you have submitted. Go to the Google Classroom. See here.
Yes, sir.
Go to the Google Classroom, and in this you will observe a classwork. And in classwork, I have given the link for each and every topic: projections of solids, sections of solids, orthographic. Submit your work here. If you have submitted
Okay,
means
sir.
it shows for me like this. So this indicates the sheet has been submitted but not evaluated. The 15 indicates the marks
Okay, sir.
evaluated, the marks awarded by me. See
Okay,
here,
sir.
all these are the submitted sheets. Blank means they are not submitted. 352,
Yes, sir.
you have submitted only first two sheets. What about the other two? 352, unmute your audio and respond. 352, 63, 65, you have submitted there. Only two sheets. What about the other sheets? Why you are not submitting? Why you are not submitting? Only in your class I'm having this problem. See here, See the performance of CSC2. 64 sheets grading also completed. Total 64 strengths, 64 students completed. In sections of solids, only two members assigned here means indicate only two members are pending. 61 corrected and one is pending for correction. But your class, see the performance of your class. Only 28 submitted and 16 more pending for submission. And out of the 16 plus 2 are there. Even the two members, they are not responding. 64 and 91. Not even added up in the Google Classroom. They are not coming into contact. And remember one more thing. Along with submission in the Google Classroom, you must preserve all your sheets. After reopening of college, you have to submit all your hard copies. Then only your marks will be finalized. Why you are given this condition? Because what you are observing is some of you are simply copying the others' work, others' PDF, and simply uploading the duplicate files. Simply uploading the duplicate files. And remember thing, after completion of after reopening, you have to submit all your sheets. Then only your marks will be finalized. And this grading, just I'm completing the grading, but it will be finalized only after submission of your sheets. And why we are insisting in submission of your sheets means because when you complete it drawing, then only you can remember the procedure or the sequence of steps and understand the concept. Simply attending the class will not help you in understanding the concept. You must attend the class and practice it on drawing sheet. Then only you can understand the concept and remember the concept for the examination point of view. Otherwise, you can't perform perfectly in the exam. Very poor attendance. Only 17 members present. 18 minus 1. 1 is myself. Only 17 members, 17 students are present. So I'm taking into consideration as the remaining people doesn't have any doubts. Is it? Shall I conclude? The remaining students not attend the class means they don't have any doubts. And even the last topic of the syllabus is also completed, AutoCAD. And coming to next class, I will start the meet and I will explain only the topics which I have representation from you. Means practice the sheets and you must raise the doubts. And next class onwards, the class topic is dependent on you because based on your doubts only. Remember this and be attentive from next class onwards. From next class onwards, it is pure discussion. You have to ask your doubts, raise your doubts, and I will clarify those doubts. And so all the explanation is completed, is it? All the topics revision also completed. Next, only remaining is doubts from your sides. If you have doubts from your side and if you raise your doubt, I will clarify the doubt in the next class. And for today's class, I'm ending the session. You can leave. And but for next class onwards, get ready with the doubts, specific problem or specific topic. Okay. And now for this class, you can leave. And if you're still having any doubts in AutoCAD, unmute your audio and ask. If you don't have any doubt means you can leave. 51, 66, 67, 73, 88. Do you have any doubts? '67 Tarun. 66 Kali Prasad. Venkana Babu. 88. Sai 73. Do you have any doubts or shall I exit? Don't waste time. If you have any doubts, raise your doubts or otherwise I will close the session. No one are responding. Okay, I'm ending the session.